A very good morning if at all you're just joining us, and thank you so much for joining us for yet another segment in the Smart Rise Show on Smart 24 TV. We're coming to you live from Naguru, plot 29A, and it is where we're broadcasting live. Now, we need to understand some of the things that are taking place in the market, and that's why we try to prepare for the weekend shopping as well. We try to prepare for the festive season shopping. There is quite a lot that we really need to put into consideration, and joining me on set is Adam Mobale, our market correspondent, to tell us what are the things happening in the market. Is anything changing? If at all everything is changing, how can we set ourselves and be on the good side of the story so that we can be buying the things at the rightful price, at the rightful, in the rightful quantities, but also getting the rightful quality. Saddam, how is your morning?
Well, my morning is fine, and yours?
Mine is awesome. I speculate one of the reasons as why one of your morning is good is I think you got some of the tomatoes from the Wandegeya traders, because they were saying the tomatoes were getting rotten on the stores, and then you are there to take them.
Well, their ideas as well are valid if you look at the justification of why they were saying so. But it's so unfortunate that maybe they would have involved them in the construction, because you saw very well what they were insinuating. And they were clearly saying that they needed an entrance on the other side of the market, where maybe the engineers saw that it is not possible for them to put it there.
But now the accessibility is very hard. People find it very hard to access their stores.
The idea is that maybe they do not know specifically, because when you're entering that market, you know, the entrance and the exit, you know, it is the entrance itself is facing, you know, the Wandegeya, that junction, you know, it's opposite, you know, the Barclays Bank. So I think it's hard for someone to tell or to know that there is a trader somewhere on the second floor who is, you know, who is trading in this and this an item. So if the entry is where, you know, where he was saying that you know, they would have, you know, constructed or maybe put an entrance on this side of, you know, the market, that also justifies their, you know, their plea. But the idea is that they are actually not, you know, selling up stuff because of the reasons which they have, and the reasons are actually valid. So
they are being technically kicked out of business. Some lecturers, some professors carry out farming in the villages. Now they carry the produce and sell at the gate, and some of them actually have so much close contact to these students that they can actually carry the things to their hostels. So what then becomes the remedy for the Wandegeya traders market?
Well, I do not want to sound melodramatic, but unfortunately it may be true according to what they say. Because actually the biggest percentage of, you know, most of these lecturers and professors do carry out farming, you know, outside, not necessarily within Kampala, but outside. So what happens is that you know, Makerere University itself has a population of, you know, more than, you know, 40,000 students. That is according to the Renderes report. So this population itself, you know, serves as a customer, because if I have my 4 acres of land, I'm a lecturer, and I know that I can get someone who can actually, let's for example say I do farm for example, you know, tomatoes, because in the evening you see these people on around the gate within the university premises trying to sell to students, because, you know, most of the students here, you know, at Makerere University do prepare their own food. Most of them, though not all of them. So as a result, that means that they will need the spices, you know, to make this up, to make sure. So these people move, and they are closer to the university. These lecturers do practice their farming, and they give them, you know, these people to go and what we call okutembeya in Uganda. So they move with these products and they do sell, and as a result they curb these students from accessing the market, and that also hinders the traders.
So should we really take this for a very bad move? Because now you have to understand, for a lecturer, I've had a number of them, actually most of them actually, going for riots or strikes because they've not been receiving their salaries on time. So do we want to say that in the bid of seeing the Wandegeya traders work, of the people that work in the market, these people should be kicked out of business? Isn't it one of the ways through which these lecturers can survive, or we should just sideline them?
I think I should demystify the fact that they do riot, but I should say that they actually practice, I should call it, a diplomatic kind of demonstration. Well, basically, because this is Uganda, which simply means that everyone has a right to do whatever they want. They have a right to also participate in the economic development of the country. That also means that they can do their own farming, and as a result they can as well enter the market and compete for the customers. So if it is about being an entrepreneur, I mean, I should be creative. If what I'm earning is not enough for me, then there is an opportunity for me to go and practice something else that can generate my income. Then why shouldn't I do so? So actually, if they practice they do sell these products, I think it is justifiable, because I think when you look in the East African region, rather if you're looking at the three biggest economies, that is Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania, it may sound melodramatic, but true. In our own context here in Uganda, a lecturer earns minimally compared to a lecturer in Kenya and even Tanzania. I think they're the least paid if you look at the region block. So that extra innovation to me is justified, because if I practice farming and this farming actually pays, depending with what you farm. Because if you're farming, let's for example say the apples themselves, because in the evening you see these people inside the university selling up stuff, see mangoes, you see these people seated there with mangoes, others with pineapples and even apples. And an apple will go for 500. Let's imagine that you have 1,000 of them. That is some good amount of money. So it is justifiable
that they should continue in the trade.
Yeah.
And I actually I called it a strikes because they go on industrial action as the lecturers. They put down all what they really need to do, and what comes out of it is students are going to also be up in arms. So we see industrial action preceding a strike of the students that really want to go and learn something in school. And then I think, what are some of the strategies that the traders or the people in Wandegeya Market can take on ahead of the competition? Because now this is what I call unfair competition, ahead of the cocktail of the very many problems that they are having. A strike is happening, so low customers. Now they are facing a lot of competition from the professors and the lecturers. What should they do as the advice to them?
I should simply say that it is a competition of ideas. If I have an innovative idea and I can market something, because remember, for you it is already gazetted that you're supposed to do from here, which automatically means that the buyer knows that Wandegeya Market has this and this kind of product. So if it is up to me, the trader in the market, to make sure that I fight. It is survival for the fittest, because if you do not go the extra mile to market your products and goods, then what do you expect? You're just going to sit there and keep saying we need we need an entry here, we need, but it is justifiable to me. I like these people who sell phones, if you go mostly, and clothes if you go in town, and those ones who are in the photo industry. Because what they do is that when you're moving around, they will even go an extent of grabbing you. Mama kano kaputuka.
I know that.
So and it can sometimes irritate you, because they insist and insist and insist. That is the rationale that they should also use. Because if you do not, go an extra mile to push for this, then it automatically means you can simply, you know, you will not fit within the market spectrum.
I really agree, and I really love it that the traders in Wandegeya Market should really now ensure that they become more innovative and should market more, because now they should be taking the extra step. If you're just joining us on the Smart Rise Show, we are here with Saddam Mobale trying to understand what the traders in Wandegeya Market and all the other traders in all the other markets, what can they really do ahead of the festive season. So Saddam, as we try to go towards the festive season, are the prices really increasing as it is alleged by a number of people? Are they increasing in the markets that we've been in for this week?
Probably I can justifiably say that yes and no at the same time, depending with the area that the market is operating from. Because you see here in Kampala, most traders are so, you know, are so intelligent. We are heading towards the festive season, and that therefore means that people, you know, the demand for some products are on a higher, the demand itself is high. But still, you know, if you go to things like foodstuffs at the moment, currently I should say that the prices are not so high. But then there are some other products which are already, the prices have started to kick. You know, if you look at things like, for example, you know, the clothings, things, you know, to do with luxury, if I should put it that way. You know, clothes and then shoes and then those other things that fall in that category. Because what happens is that if we are nearing, now let's say if we hit December, now that is when you will start seeing prices of different things, mostly chicken, and I don't know what is in this chicken that makes the prices to shoot, and even meat at the same time. So I think the period itself, you cannot start to justify and say that right now you are increasing the prices of a certain commodity. Let's, for example, say fish, which means, you know, currently the demand for these products is not so high, and you know, it is during this festive season that, you know, in the villages we used to, you know, only eat, you know, meat and chicken on this festive season, on the Christmas day. So that probably justifies the fact that the demand of these products are high, and that can make a seller or a buyer to make the prices go high. So prices are going to shoot. That is automatic when we click December. But to certain products, things like now food, currently the prices are not so expensive. They are still moderate, but as time goes on, the prices are actually going to shoot.
Like, is it going to be for only chicken and meat? What about for the beans? Because actually it is alleged that beans, peas, and all the what people call the food for the poor, or the source for the poor, is it really also going to increase with the same proportion like chicken and meat?
Well, I think you will also, you know, bear me witness. You know very well that it is, you know, it is almost next to impossible, but though it is there, people do not, during this festive season, rarely consume beans and peas and stuff like that. You know, this is a time when everybody's mind is thinking about things like, you know, chicken, things like beef, you know, things which fall in that category, the things that we have socially constructed in our minds, that these are the things which are good, you know, putting it in the context that there are certain because we have been consuming beans from January, so I think this is the time that we should maybe change. And this actually happens in down there deep in the villages. Actually, during these festive seasons, someone really sacrifices what he or she has, so that at least the family can have a piece of meat or even a piece of chicken within this period. So the demand for things like beans, things like peas may actually go down.
Okay,
because this is the time that people actually
pushing to just meat and all the other foodstuffs. One weekend shopping tip for the viewers today.
What I can say is that when you reach out to markets like Wandegeya, actually, you know, there is this deja vu, there is this construction that, you know, if a market is this sizable, it is well structured, then the prices for something are actually, you know, high. So what I can say is that people are there. There are stairs. You should not only reach at the exit or at the entry. Reach out to these people and support them. Reach out to, you know, the different levels, because these people are up there. Reach out to them and support these people.
Well, I just can't agree anymore. I thank you so much, Saddam. Yes, and I hope you share a piece of the chicken that you were given the other time as well. You went to the market.
I will automatically do so. After on off air.
Off air. Yeah. All right, that has been Saddam trying to make us understand what is really happening down in the markets in the country, and we've really seen and heard from him what you really need to do ahead of the festive season. We take a very short break and look at the forex rates as they do stand right now. A very good morning once again, and thank you so much for watching the Smart Rise Show on Smart 24 TV. Now, one of the very important things to propelling your business towards a success, and then one of the things that are actually very important for Uganda to draw towards a cashless or digital economy is internet connectivity. We cannot have the discussion around fintech, we cannot have the discussion around digitization of the economy and digitization of businesses if at all we do not talk about internet. Internet connectivity is one of the very important aspects in saying that we can attain and obtain the platforms that we will use for transaction of businesses, that we will use for payment of workers, and then seeing that we can procure and have all the things, all the business operations very functional across the board. So we find a discussion around internet connectivity in Uganda and its positive relationship with the levels of business success, and then propelling the entire or bigger economy towards success, a very important one for this very morning. So when you discover that Uganda in 2018 had close to 18.149 million internet users, and that accounts to 45.9% of the population. So 52nd in the world, and that is where we do stand as a country. You will actually realize that the levels of internet connectivity in Uganda are not so much increasing, because 18.149 is just smaller compared to the bigger population that is estimated to be around 44.2 million Ugandans. So that is a very low level of internet connectivity in relation to all the other countries. When you try to look at the entire East African region, Uganda is lagging behind, but of course is lagging because Kenya comes first and then we follow. Tanzania follows, Rwanda follows, and then the other countries continue following. Why is it very important that we should really prioritize the discussion around internet connectivity? Because it feeds exactly into our business motives of reducing of the costs. You'll discover that internet is one of the things that enable us to transact businesses. That is for the people that carry out cashless transactions, the people that carry out transfers from one bank to another using mobile apps that have been developed. I've seen a number of them on your phones. I've seen a number of them actually being innovated, and these are things that are very important to seeing that we can digitize and move towards the cashless economy. And now it is a very cashless economy that we all agitate and demand for as the Ugandans, because we know the rationale or the importance that it really comes with. It comes with ease in access to the funds, but then also ensuring security. Now, us having cash on our hands is something that is so much tempting for us to be using the cash. You'll discover that the percentage of people that were using internet in Uganda has been increasing over the years, and now we can be able to see, as you can be able to see there on your screen, that at the time we are having increasing levels of internet connectivity and penetration, standing at 31.1%, and that was just rising from 9.6% in the year 2010. So it is very important for us to discover that we've been trying to make commendable steps towards seeing that we can connect very many people on internet, and we saw the Ministry of ICT coming up with what we can call free Wi-Fi. I was seeing everywhere we're having free Wi-Fi, and that they were installing these wireless fidelity ports and modems. Actually not modems, they do call them routers wherever, and it was to enable people, get more people connected to internet so we can share information. Sharing of information and now being able to access knowledge is very key in terms of increasing the country's human capital index, that is through enabling people to understand concepts and get to use them, because it is very important for them. So when we try to look at the levels of internet connectivity, and one of the reasons as to why Ugandans have not been accessing internet, they will give you a number of reasons, but of course the number of reasons will vary. One of them is actually the introduction of the over-the-top tax that was introduced in 2016. It is very important for us to note that Ugandans would wish to access internet as cheaply as possible. And when you try to look at the percentages on your screen, you'll be able to actually realize that a number of people that were not connected to the internet because of a number of reasons, but the first to include the invasion or the coming up of the over-the-top tax was just a bigger number. But now looking at all the individuals that do not use internet because it is expensive, it is 76.6%. For them, they do not use internet because they are seeing that the internet is very expensive. So now it pushes you back as a person that is watching to know how much do you spend on a data bundle as a person that uses internet. The people in the urban areas is just the percentage is 72.6%. They are saying internet is very expensive, and then in the rural areas it is just 83.8%. There is a very huge difference between the 72 and the 83%, because the people in the urban areas do access internet at a very higher cost because they also have a very high cost of living. The trend in the OTT subscription and revenues is the one that has been raising a lot of concern, and now the total, when we try to look at some of the things that were hindering people from accessing internet, looking and citing over the top tax, and we are seeing there the statistics as they try to show us that the number of, or the total revenue that is collected from over the top tax in July was a bigger figure of something like over 5 billion, that is trying to reduce down a little bit. When we try to look at Uganda, Uganda stands at the 15th position in terms of access to internet, and then the people that try not to use the internet. So the penetration of internet in Uganda stands at 31.3%, which is a slightly lower percentage to enable us to draw closer to the cashless economy or the digitized economy. And now I cited out earlier the reasons as to why Uganda agitates or could yearn for getting closer towards a cashless economy, because we cited a number of reasons to do include business efficiency and a number of them. Now, when we try to look at internet penetration in Africa as a whole and looking at to the rest of the world, the rest of the world stands at 60.9%, and this is very important, and it explains the trend at or the growth trajectory that the businesses and the economies that are in the rest of the world, we call them the developed countries, is developing. That is why they are developing more, because internet connectivity stands at 60.9%. If at all they can increase this percentage from 60.9% and increase to a bigger figure, you'll actually realize that they will become much more bigger. However, Africa remains at a very, very smaller page. Now, looking at the internet usage across East Africa, Uganda is lagging. As you can see, Kenya stands at a bigger percentage, Tanzania is at the smallest percentage. So in terms of ranking, you'll actually be able to realize that it is just Kenya that comes first, Burundi, and then Uganda. You'll be able to see the trends and now understand the growth trajectory that all these countries are actually taking, because it is important for you to understand that the quest for a digital economy for a country like Uganda, and actually being able to use and have a cashless economy, if at all I can be able to pay online, if at all I can be able to transact businesses online, if at all I can save so much on costs and access information freely, I will be very, very, very happy. So if we try to continue forward and try to look at the ease of access of internet in Uganda, you actually see that we are having a number of challenges. If we can solve them, then the business fraternity in Uganda will be so happy, because we will be able to access internet at a cheaper cost and be able to use internet, because we really need it to propel businesses towards success through saving of costs. So now we are having the Uganda DRC it is a conference that will be happening, and it will be happening Uganda tomorrow. We'll be having people on ground to tell us exactly what will be happening there, and we'll be streaming and we'll be live on that very event to try to show you what will be happening, what are the relations between Uganda and DR Congo, how can we solve the conflicts that we are having with DRC. If we can solve them, then it means the trade between Uganda and DRC will be booming, because then we'll be having no hiccups. But also to resolve the issues that relate to oil in Hoima, trying to see that we can improve fishing along Lake Albert, because it is very important. It borders, it is a lake that stands at the border of Uganda and DR Congo. How can we further development? How can we have gold from there? We can really have such discussions, and that shall be tomorrow, and we'll be live at that very event. But now that has been us from the Smart Rise Show. We'll continue to thank you for watching Smart 24 TV, and for me and on behalf of the entire production team, we thank you for making a date with us and waking up with us. Catch us on Monday for yet another edition of the Smart Rise. I'll be with Viola Kusasira. From me and every other person, enjoy the weekend and enjoy the rest of the day. Goodbye.